everyone. You might know us from Mouse Madness, but today we are not doing a cartoon review. We are doing a special edition. I am joined once again by the host, the guy who started this whole thing. Say hi, Nick.
Hi, Nick.
Yep. Yeah, but we decided to do this because I think for Nick at least, his first real love is music.
Yeah, I mean, I've been getting into cartoons and animation more and more through Mouse Madness and Pixar Panic and the like, but my love of music ultimately trumps my love of animation, so...
Yeah, I can get that. I think you were first and foremost a music reviewer, even when you came to DA.
Right, I think one of the first things I ever did was top 10 of the year-end number ones.
Yeah, the year-end number one's much less ambitious than Bennett the Sage's comprehensive list. But I've been getting into music pretty gradually. I grew up on a steady diet of old classic rock and early 2000s alternative. Think Coldplay, U2, Foo Fighters, that sort of thing. There was this old station called Z104 that they don't have anymore. That used to play all that stuff, and I got really into it there. But I really started getting to music around 8th grade when I had internet access, when YouTube put up whole songs and AMVs. And that was sort of where I was going in. My gateway drug album was Incubus's Make Yourself, because I'd heard Drive on the radio, and I was like, this is pretty good. Want to hear some more. So I listened to that. And one of the things I discovered through this foray was acclaimmusic.net, which is a list of lists, if you don't know. They take a whole bunch of critical lists of all the great songs and albums across time. They compile them together using a mathematical formula and then rank them all on a list. And one of the most quoted for that is the Rolling Stone 500, which was published in 2004 by the questionable content of Rolling Stone magazine.
Yeah.
It was founded by Jan Wenner, who also founded the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which explains a lot of the early overlap, but he is no longer involved. In 2004, they did a list of the 500. Were you following Rolling Stone for when they did their 2010 update?
So I haven't really been following Rolling Stone much until, to be honest, the most recent update. I've taken a look through the previous top 500 lists just kind of on a whim, and mostly to see what's changed between editions, between those two and with this current one.
Yeah, the first and third have the most drastic additions. 2010 used a lot of the same format, but just updating. But here's the thing. Crazy by Gnarls Barkley, once their highest song of the 2000s, number 307 now.
Wow.
That kind of boggled my mind. I was expecting more indie going into this list. Let's put it this way. If the critics I follow had been asked to vote, Pumped Up Kicks would have made this list. No question.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt that at all.
Yeah, and also Feel It Still, maybe a little National, maybe a little Black Keys. The highest song I think that would come from that sort of genre is All My Friends at number 88. Yeah, that sort of movement, that's about what I would have expected for it. But a lot of it on this one seems kind of arbitrary. It's like they asked the boomers and the zoomers and left no room for Gen X or millennial.
Yeah, I mean,
look at it. There's only 2 Nirvana songs and 1 Pearl Jam. Fade Into You is the closest thing they get to shoegaze. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the other stuff, like the great indie rock, kind of gets screwed over. Just for curiosity, here are the songs that were only on the 2nd edition, because I think that would be interesting. Moment of Surrender by U2, which I remember I listened to only to see what would give it that high a rank. They put actual album filler at number 160.
Really?
Yep.
I mean, like the U2 songs on this list, they're like their most popular songs.
Yeah, that makes sense. But Moment of Surrender was one of them. And then Rehab by Amy Winehouse. They went with Back to Black instead here, which I found interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bob Dylan's Mississippi. Jesus Walks by Kanye West. Kanye has, I think, 3 songs on here. This is not one of them.
No, it is not.
And then One More Time by Daft Punk. Take Me Out by Franz Ferdinand. I was so salty they took that one off.
Oh, that's right. Like it's not on this one. That kind of surprises me, because I feel like that song. I feel like that was one of the like big alternative hits of the mid 2000s.
Yeah, it's one of the first things you learned to play on Guitar Hero.
Yeah, it's in the first game.
Yeah, another one I was surprised got the boot. Beautiful Day by U2. To me, that always seems like the song of the 2000s. That song is the decade for me.
Yeah.
And then you get American Idiot. That one's off. They went with Basket Case instead. And then... Oh, that's my phone. And then you get Big Pimpin' by Jay-Z. That's off.
Yeah.
So is Cry Me a River by Justin Timberlake. Clocks by Coldplay. They went with Fix You instead, which I thought was an odd choice.
I hate that song, honestly.
Right. I mean, they had a Record of the Year winner with Clocks and a Song of the Year winner with Viva La Vida. Either of those would have been better.
Right. I mean...
And then...
Yeah, that just baffles me. Like when people think of Coldplay, it's one of those 2 songs, really.
Yep.
Like I'm not even sure how Fix You got the later popularity that it did, especially
maybe because it was in Abominable.
Maybe.
The DreamWorks movie. But and then also Time to Pretend by MGMT. That's another one from my critical circle that would have been there.
MGMT is not even on this list.
No, and that's surprising to me too. They have 3 big songs.
I would have at least thought they would have put Kids on here somewhere.
Yeah. And then 494, the remix to Ignition by Garbage Human R. Kelly. Probably for the best that one got removed.
Yeah.
And then Bruce Springsteen's The Rising at 497. His biggest hit of the 21st century. I kind of like that song.
I was never really into Springsteen that much, so I don't know that one. I do have a friend who's like absolutely obsessed with Springsteen, like knows everything about all of his songs. If you're listening to this, hi Russ.
Hi. You might want to talk to my dad, Russ. But we also had some things like Don't Stop Believing at number 133 made me cringe a little. I mean, Journey has a lot of good songs, but for this one never really clicked with me.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised this one didn't rank higher.
Yeah, but also
because it's like a critical darling song, one of those cliched favorite songs before you were born among people who only listen to rock music.
Yeah, it's like the perfect pop song in the same way that Independence Day is the perfect summer blockbuster. It pulls all the stops. It gives all the goings. It's cliche, but you can understand why it's so big.
Mm-hmm.
And then also something interesting, the number 1 song for the week I was born is number 127, Waterfalls.
I like that song.
Yeah, I do too. And they went with Cohen's Hallelujah, the original, and number 74. But it's funny because they went with Jeff Buckley's for the 2 versions prior. Buckley got Grace, though, so that's good.
Mm-hmm. I think one thing I noticed going through this list was the shocking lack of prog rock.
Yeah, prog. No Roundabout. No 25-6-4. Rush's Limelight was kind of interesting to me. I always thought Tom Sawyer was their most popular.
Yeah, it's from the same album, Moving Pictures.
To be fair, yeah.
I'd have thought maybe 2112 would have gotten a spot, though.
Right.
That might be a little too prog for Rolling Stone. But Yes, no King Crimson, No Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Yeah, not even Lucky Man. But the thing is, again, this is sort of like Boomer meets Zoomer, and prog was sort of a Gen X thing.
Right.
And also, but what kind?
I just noticed there's no Deep Purple on here either.
Not even Smoke on the Water, which made both prior versions.
Like, you'd think the go-to song for beginner guitar did not make this list. That's surprising.
You only need to use one string.
Exactly.
It's really good. But also, one thing that really pissed me off: bottom 100 has one song by Coltrane and one song by Miles Davis. To me, doing that is worse than just saying jazz is disqualified. You're basically just paying lip service at that point.
Right. I mean, like, the way they compiled this list, like, it was getting a bunch of people from a bunch of different backgrounds, artists, record executives, trying to get all kinds of demographics, and you would think that would make for kind of a more varied list. And to be fair, this is a pretty varied list, but the fact that it has very little jazz, very little prog, and very little country as well.
Right, that was pretty surprising. On Acclaim Music, the aforementioned forum, we do have a poll there every 3 years. We have the voting body. We get about 50 or so votes a year from people across the world, and it goes up and ends up being more diverse. It has a lot of the prog and country, though what's funny is we're a little more classic rock oriented because a lot of the people there are a little older. But we've been getting a little bit more towards poptimism and some fun stuff, like the good stuff from the last decade. And we do have quite a bit of jazz, like the stuff you wouldn't easily find, like Ben Biolay or even stuff like Serge Gainsbourg, the French David Bowie in a way. But he didn't make that here. But anyway, that's all the broad strokes. We were going to talk about the top 50 bit by bit going down that.
Right.
Yeah.
So before we get into the actual top 50, let's take a minute to talk about what I feel are some glaring omissions. Like songs that made the list but didn't crack the top 50 that you would think would.
Yeah.
For starters, Stairway to Heaven, number 61.
That is just bonkers. Rolling Stones always kind of had a bias against Zeppelin, but that's just ridiculous.
Like,
they were in the top
I think in the
50.
I think in the first version it didn't even crack the top 30. It was like 31 or something.
Yeah, 31. Yeah. But that's kind of their bias showing.
Right. Hey Jude, which is in a lot of circles considered the Beatles' masterpiece, only came in at number 89.
Yeah.
But, to be fair, it got beaten out by a bunch of other Beatles songs, several of which did make the top 50.
Yeah, I think there's 3 in there that we can discuss, and they have 1 in the top 10, which is all right.
Yeah. Let's see. What's another glaring omission from the top 50?
Sweet Child of Mine, number 88.
Welcome to the Jungle, number 491. What are you thinking, voters?
That's top 100 easy.
Like, I've seen that song top lists of, like, greatest hard rock songs, not just of the 80s, but of all time. How does it barely make this list?
One had it as their number 1. Yep. Also, Johnny Cash, I Walk the Line, number 76. I was expecting Hurt to qualify. I thought that would have been top 100.
Right. Good Vibrations, number 53. At first, that seemed like a weird omission, but seeing what's actually in the top 50 kind of makes more sense. Probably elaborate once we get there.
Yeah. To minor spoilers, they at least picked another good Beach Boys song.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's pretty good there. Oh, my graduation song's number 66, Bridge Over Troubled Water.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, and September is one spot above it.
Yeah. September. A lot of meme influences dominating a lot of the list, as we'll soon see.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the highest rated country song was Dolly Parton's Jolene.
Jolene, that is number 63.
Yep.
Interesting.
Good. I'm glad it made the top 100. I'm glad Dolly Parton's on this list.
Yeah, she's been doing great. She's not only a singer but a philanthropist now. So, yeah.
She's just one of those, yeah.
Yeah, amazing people. Okay, I already know the list, but hit me. What's number 50?
All right. Number 50, we have Gasolina by Daddy Yankee.
Oh! Guess who was in middle school around the time this was big? And guess who had to hear it every other Friday during open gym?
So this song is to you what Hollaback Girl was to Sage?
Yep. This and Crank That Soldier Boy. Both of those.
Yeah. Spoilers, Soldier Boy is not in the top 50. What a shame.
Thank the gods. But anyway, this was kind of baffling for me. Also, it highlights a problem that's kind of chronic with a lot of this list. The release date says 2010. That is blatantly wrong. There are AMVs of this song on YouTube older than that.
Right. This is from, what, 2004?
2004.
Yeah.
And it's kind of chronic. It has Common People at 96. It's actually 95. There's a song coming up earlier that's later in this list that's 2 years off. Mm-hmm. Uptown Funk, Bottom 100, that's a year off. But a lot of those are more forgivable because Uptown Funk peaked in 2015 at least.
True.
But I don't know where they got 2010 from for this one. The editor should have checked that out.
Like you can't even call that a typo because you're getting 2 of the digits wrong.
It's a whole decade off. So what possessed them to put this above those big songs?
I can only assume. I've speculated this not too long ago that a lot of the top 50 feels like it's more about a song's influence than its actual quality. Because from what I've looked up, this song seems to have been kind of the gateway for reggaeton's international appeal.
Reggaeton.
However short-lived that was.
Daddy Yankee was Pitbull before Pitbull.
Yep.
But I mean, in terms of Latino music, there's Juanes, there's Shakira, and there's a whole bunch of other ones, but those two are just the big ones I learned Spanish from. You couldn't have put Adios de Pido on here? That's a much better song.
I don't know. I mean, I didn't have the history that you did with this song, so hearing it for preparation for this, I can listen to it fine. It probably would be the kind of thing that would annoy the ever-loving crap out of me if I heard it like every single day.
Yeah. On my spreadsheet, I ranked a lot of them on a scale of 1 to 10. This got a 4. It's not the lowest one. We'll get to that in the top 10.
Okay. I think I know what that one is, but we'll save it.
Yeah. But so since you're a newbie to this, it's pretty interesting. Daddy Yankee, if you don't know the context, is Puerto Rican. He had a few hits in the early 2000s. And Glory, the other one, she gets a feature credit for just saying 3 words.
Yep.
The girl on Paradise for the Dashboard Light got nothing, but Glory gets a whole feature.
Oh, man. Yeah. He just says, Dame más gasolina. Like,
give me more gasoline, yeah.
Just one step off of give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one, yeah. All right, so kind of a weird surprise. There are a lot of surprises on here, some good, some gasolina.
All right, I want to move on.
And, sure, I'll do this one. Number 49, Doo-Wop That Thing by Lauryn Hill. I like this one, actually.
Yeah, this was Honestly, I'm surprised this one didn't rank even higher, considering how acclaimed it was at the time and how acclaimed it still is today.
Lauren's an important artist. This was a #1 hit. It's in the National Recording Registry as of last year.
Right.
It's kind of a pioneer for female hip-hop artists, and it was pretty interesting to see how Lauren was the one who had the breakout of the Fugees.
Right. If I recall,
John had
I think this is the first debut single to debut at #1.
I think you're right, because debuting at #1 was only possible in the mid-'90s when the technology changed.
Right.
But yeah, it's a pretty interesting, pretty nice message song with good intentions, because it plays to both sides. It's pretty nice, and it's a low-key bop, so I hear that.
Yeah, I can listen to this song all day. I love Lauren's flow on this. I first heard this song through a Rap Critics review, in which he gave it the rare 6 out of 5.
Oh, wow. Broke the scale.
Yeah. That's a funny video, by the way, just because of the way it starts.
Yeah, I've seen it, but yeah, it was Lauren who had the #1. Wyclef Jean had a few decent features. Praz had Ghetto Superstar, and that's about it.
Yeah.
But still, I probably do think Lauren gets a lot. I heard she's been through some hard times, but she at least has this to go off of. So she's a one-album wonder. It's a good album to have.
True. She also had that one other project, but let's not talk about that.
Right.
Okay, number 48, we have Idiotech by Radiohead.
Yeah, this one's probably more of a me thing, because my circle really loves Kid A. I prefer In Rainbows, but what's funny is I saw a meme for this on Twitter that said it predicted Ice Age.
Yeah, Ice Age coming.
The Ice Age coming, yep. But what's funny is my favorite song off Kid A is a song not on here. It's the National Anthem. Because that's all weird and wonky. If you haven't heard it, check it out after this, because it's like a freestyle, freeform jazz composition that breaks the flow of the album, but in a good way.
Yeah. Like I'm surprised they went with something off of Kid A as opposed to not Paranoid Android. OK Computer.
Well, Paranoid Android did make both versions of this list prior. It was somewhere in the middle, but still, that would have been something good. Idiotech is starting to gain a little bit more traction on Acclaim Music. I think it went from not even in the top 3,000 to number 233 in top 10 of the decade, but it's a bit of a more unorthodox Radiohead pick. It's something you wouldn't have seen coming from that far. Though I am glad they have more than 2 songs on here. I think it's Creep and Fake Plastic Trees also made it.
Okay.
It was something off there.
Not Karma Police?
Oh, Karma Police. That's the one I'm thinking of. Karma Police, not Fake Plastic Trees, which made the other lists. But yeah, Karma Police is somewhere in the lower 300s. Idiotech, pretty unorthodox pick. That's like more Craig pandering, or at least my Craig pandering. But as a armchair critic, I'm getting into it, so I approve.
Yeah. I didn't hear this song until this list, and I figured it was going to be one of those weird sounding experimental Radiohead songs, which it might just be an acquired taste.
Yeah, it is an acquired taste. A lot of people fell off with Radiohead after that album.
Yeah,
it was basically 2 camps, either like 90s Radiohead or post 2000s Radiohead. And I kind of fluctuate, but still pretty nice choice, pretty nice pick there. Moving on, number 47. This is a good one. Hold Me Closer, Tony Danza.
Yes.
Tony Danza.
Yes, I love this song so much. It's Elton John's best song, hands down.
I know, I agree. They talk a little bit shaky about Bernie Taupin's lyricism, but this is one of the better ones. And it's a good one just to belt out one for parties and crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Reminds me of that Super Bowl ad where they're in the bar singing it at the big moment.
Yep. I'm glad this is the one that placed the highest of Elton's songs.
Yeah.
How many did he have on this? He had 4 songs.
4 songs, right?
It was this, Rocket Man, Your Song, and Benny and the Jets.
Yeah, a lot of the usual suspects, but again, the best of the 4 made it.
Yep. Like, this is actually one of those songs I've tried learning on piano. Like, I've printed out the sheet music.
Oh, that's very interesting, because Elton was a prodigy. He really went all out with his musical arrangements.
Yep. So, yeah, Tiny Dancer, favorite song of his. Close second would be Where To Now, St. Peter, which did not make the list, but wouldn't have expected it to. Right. It's kind of a deeper cut.
Yeah, it's a deeper cut. I remembered I listened to Goodbye Yellow Brick Road last year, I think, and that was something I really discovered. It was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. And here we go. Here's a big one. Number 46.
All right, number 46, we've got Paper Planes by MIA.
This was a pretty fun eye-opener for me. I mean, it was a top 5 hit, but not too many people seem to realize that if you saw the trailer for Pineapple Express, that's probably how you know this song.
I've just remember hearing this song like kind of in the wild. Like people would sing the chorus. It's a very catchy, very kind of humorous. Mostly I associate it with Neil Cicierega's Annoyed Grunt. Which replaces the gunshots with Homer Simpson going dough.
Yeah, but yes, a female British rapper of Sri Lankan descent, and apparently she's talking about third world dictatorship, which Sri Lanka knows a thing or two about.
Right,
and go with that.
Apparently, MIA was accused of supporting terrorism after this song got big.
Oh, she was not. She was very anti-terrorist. She's kind of a one-hit wonder, although she did have a number 1 hit as a feature recently.
Did she?
I think it was a Travis Scott tune. I forget what that one was, but yeah, she was a featured artist.
Was it Franchise?
I think so, yeah. I think it was.
Okay.
So she's technically not a one-hit wonder, but this is her only big one as a main artist. And you point out on Twitter, it sounds like Sunflower, but to be fair, MIA sampled Straight to Hell.
Okay. Yeah, just can't listen to those verses. Can't listen to the verses without Sway Lee's vocals in there.
Yep. And again, it's already a sample, so MIA is not exactly one to talk.
Okay.
But number 45, we have All Right by Kendrick Lamar. Of all the Kendrick songs to choose. I mean, yeah, I kind of know why this one's here. Yeah. But still, I mean, even in terms of 2015, King Kunta, that was the big one. But yeah, I kind of know why they picked this one.
I'm actually not that into Kendrick Lamar. Don't know much of his discography. Only knew a couple singles from the previous album, whichever one came before To Pimp a Butterfly.
Good Kid, Mad City.
What was it called?
Good Kid, Mad City.
Yeah. So I knew Swimming Pools. I knew Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe. That's really about it.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. Kendrick had To Pimp a Butterfly, which took the world by storm because he was trying to capture sort of a niche experience and sort of the idea of living this life right here, right now. I'm not one to touch politics, but I did like the ending of this album, Method Man, where he resurrects Tupac. He has a conversation with archival recordings.
Oh, wow.
But it's pretty nice. But off this album, you had King Kunta. That was the big hit.
Mm-hmm.
But All Right is kind of sort of like the protest song of this generation. We'll get to a song it kind of reminds me of most when we get to the top 10, but yeah, it would kind of violate the rule of cautious editing judgment if I tried to talk about it more here.
Okay. All right, so moving on. Number 44, we've got Billie Jean by Michael Jackson.
Billie Jean, it's not my love. Yeah, this is my favorite MJ song. It's just so poppy, so crazy. Actually, no, I kind of prefer Man in the Mirror, but this is like the best off the Riddler. There's a funny story though with the video. Apparently, the light up sidewalk was broken, so the choreographer had to tell him to hit only the specific tiles. Michael hit every single one on the first try.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen the official music video for this, but I did see his performance at Motown's 25th anniversary special.
Yeah, the big one.
Yeah,
the one where he... the moonwalk.
Yeah, that's the one.
I could do it in socks, but I was always surprised how he was able to pull it off in shoes.
Yeah, just... I'm guessing that stage was freshly polished before the Jacksons did their set.
Probably. He might have been wearing non-stick shoes, like tap shoes or something.
Most likely.
Could have allowed him to... Yeah, and apparently this is like one of the big songs of the 80s. I think on Acclaim Music it recently took the number one spot for that decade. But it kind of shows Michael Jackson as an artist, as the virtuoso, as a producer, as a dance guy. He was the personality for the 80s, and a lot of this shows why.
Yeah. Yeah, this essentially cemented him as the king of pop, placed at number 2 on that year's year-end.
Yeah, number 2 of that year's year.
Placing behind only The Police's Ode to Stalking, Every Breath You Take.
Which is lower on this list. I think it's in the 200s.
That sounds about right.
Yep. But yeah, Billie Jean's still fun, still something pretty cool. And then at number 43, we go old school, back to the 60s. My Girl by the Temptations.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of a more simple, more basic sounding love song than this one, but that's its charm.
It's Motown. It's supposed to be simple. It's something that catches on and resonates, and its simplicity is what allows it to endure. Yeah, granted, commercialization might have pushed it a little, but still, come on, it's My Girl. How can you go wrong?
Exactly. Like, it's one of those songs where I can't imagine feeling bad after listening to it.
Right.
It's just so like in your face with how upbeat and happy it is. It's infectious.
Yep. And it's got that distinctive 60s polish and that Motown sound. A lot of echoing I noticed for the 60s.
Yeah, that definitely seemed to be a thing from like 65 to 68.
Yeah, I think it added a little bit more polish and a little flair to the record. In the 200s, they have Papa Was a Rolling Stone. You have not lived until you've heard the full 12-minute version of that.
Oh, God, 12 minutes?
Yeah.
I mean, it's got Rolling Stone in the title. How did it not rank higher?
We'll see. And again, it's not the only Rolling Stone on here. We'll get there.
Yes, we will.
Number 42.
All right. Number 42, Redemption Song by Bob Marley.
Yeah,
technically, it's credited to Bob Marley and the Wailers, but no, this is a fully Bob Marley solo project.
Yeah, it's sort of like how George Harrison would sneak some of his solo stuff into the Beatles and still have it be credited. But Bob's the one who does all the work here. Yeah. And it really shows off his chops as a solo performer and as a lyricist. It's got some enduring popularity.
Yeah, I didn't quite know what to make of this because I'd never heard much Bob Marley before this. I was expecting something like a little more little more classic reggae, like what you think of when you think of reggae music. But I like the cut of this one.
Yep. I think you might have listened to the Exodus version. That's the clean cut they have on YouTube. It's from his greatest hits compilation.
Maybe.
Yeah. Yep, but that's a pretty good one. This is another one kind of emblematic of the time and the ideas. And Marley, I think, died shortly after. Early 80s, I think. But so, yeah, it kind of has that new idea to it when you get Bob Marley's death into it. And then number 41, this is one of my big ones, one of my favorites, Love Will Tear Us Apart by Joy Division.
This one just makes me sad.
Because the lead singer killed himself?
Yeah, just the circumstances surrounding this song.
Yeah.
And also, of course, the content itself.
Right. It's not a difficult song for guitar if you ever want to pick it up.
Yeah.
So play a little fast, but the chords are easy.
Yeah, this was released shortly after Ian Curtis's death, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal, and it really is another capturing that sort of 80s alternative feel. And this is another one of those special picks. They have very few of that new wave stuff, but I'm glad this one made it, and it made it so high. And it makes the whole album Closer kind of interesting to think of, too.
Yeah.
But,
of course, it was something that the rest of the band was able to move past and form New Order out of it.
Yeah, they made New Order. They're a good band, too, but still, gotta give some respect to good old Ian. We still miss you. And also, because I'm a huge Swans fan, they did a cover of this, which is also pretty interesting. Think like the goth version of Love Will Tear Us Apart. It's even sadder.
Oh, jeez.
Right.
All right. Moving on to the top 40. At number 40, we've got All Along the Watchtower by Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, this is my favorite Hendrix. Kind of weird to think of that being as a cover, but it's his good guitar. Did you ever read my high school paper on rock music in the Vietnam War?
You know, I don't think I did.
I linked it on Twitter, but I got a C on that paper. But I was sure to tie things back to Hendrix. And this was a song I cited because, like, every single 60s movie or documentary about the Vietnam War, they will play this song.
Right. Like, it's either this or Hey Joe.
Right. Or Hey Joe. Or Fortunate Son by CCR. That gets played. But what's interesting is it's written by Bob Dylan. And it's probably my favorite song of his that Dylan wrote. And it's told in sort of a non-linear fashion if you've actually read the lyrics.
Right. And I seem to recall, I think it was Guitar World magazine placed the guitar solo at number 5.
Yep.
Really? Like kind of like one of those emblematic psychedelic solos.
Yeah, it sounds like there's war going on and fighting there. But it starts with the Joker and the Thief talking together in containment, but then the last verse talks about two riders, which are implied to be them. It's kind of funny that the new Battlestar Galactica, that turned this song into a plot point. It was sort of like the calling card for the Cylons.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was pretty weird to think it transcended time, so I'm like, the Cylons inspired Bob Dylan. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd call this my favorite Hendrix song. I think I prefer Voodoo Child. But this is good one. This is a good one. It's one that I've tried learning on guitar, but no matter what, I just can't get that same effect.
It's really, really hard. It's really crazy. There's a touring version. U2's cover adds an extra verse about 3 chords in the truth, but that is not what this is.
Right.
Oh, here we go. Number 39. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Yes.
Bombs Over Baghdad. I really love this, and this is another one I'm surprised made neither list in the past. Because, like, B.O.B. was just a landmark. It came out right in the year 2000. It was a big production. And I'm also surprised it wasn't a bigger hit on Billboard. Miss Jackson hit number 1, but this, I think, barely scraped it.
Yeah. I mean, this song is just straight fire spitting all the way through.
Right.
It's one of those songs where you're almost dared or challenged to try and learn it yourself, which I have tried doing on my own at some point. At this point, I can almost get the entire first verse.
Yeah, same. It's just a lot of it, and apparently a lot of it was just reading the headlines and seeing what stuck.
Really?
That's how we got the title, Bombs Over Baghdad.
Yeah, and this came out 3 years before we invaded Iraq.
Yep, that was pretty interesting. And now B.O.B. just needs to write a song called Outcast.
I think we're done with the artist B.O.B. for now.
Yeah, shooting yourself in the foot like that. Yeah. But it kind of established Outcast as a big power. The next album would win Album of the Year, but this one just has a lot of polish and a lot of flair, and this is the large part of its enduring popularity, just the icon of B.O.B.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got the full playlist of this top 50. Whenever I get to this song, I always have to restart it a few times just to make sure I'm properly enjoying it, I guess.
Right, you gotta be in that right mindset.
You hear Andre 3000's opening lyrics and you're sucked in immediately.
Yep, and it just goes all over the place and all the wall. You ready for number 38?
Yeah, sure. So, going from the pure fire spitting of number 39, we have something that's a lot more mellow and a lot more somber, and probably a lot more classic. It's "Sitting on the Dock of the Bay" by Otis Redding.
There's R&B and there's Otis Redding.
Mm-hmm.
That's the old saying, because he did a lot of that stuff, and he talked about the idea of this nomadic moving suggestion that came from the Great Migration of the 60s, and just about sitting back and chilling. This is like the perfect summer song.
Right.
I remember when I went to Orlando around the summer, they played this at Typhoon Lagoon with the Easy River, and I was just chilling.
Mm-hmm. It's the perfect lazy song because it's about doing nothing after just life beating you down. It's a song not just about relaxing, but the need to relax, the need to just let life, pass you by for a second.
Yeah, just gotta chill out. Although it's funny is the whistling is because Otis Redding ran out of lyrics. He was going to record an extra verse later, but then he was involved in that tragic plane crash.
Yep.
Who knows what great music we lost from the plane crash?
He didn't even get the chance to join the 27 Club because he was 26 when he died.
Oof. Yikes. I'm 26.
Well, just hang in there a few months. You'll outlive Otis.
Right. I felt that way when I outlived Graham Parsons.
Yeah.
But anyway, we had that. We had 38, and then we go to number 37. This is what it sounds like when doves cry.
Bum 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 bum.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
It's a straight banger.
Yeah, this is one of those classic 80s songs that sounds like nothing else. The only person who could even hope to sound like this as Prince himself.
Yeah, Prince, who did the producing, a lot of his own singing. He had a backup band, The Revolution, at this time, but he was basically one of the ultimate DIY artists.
Right. Amazingly, this song has no bass line, which is super rare for an 80s hit.
Incredible! I keep imagining it having this thumping bass in my head, but it doesn't. That's very cool.
It's that bass. It's that bass drum followed by that synth line.
Yeah, that synth line. But anyway, as good as the song is, it was a little lower the past times. I feel like this is banking off the recent death effect.
Right. And we'll see more of that later on. Spoilers.
Yep. Not to say it's unworthy, but I do feel like that death had something to do with it. In part because Prince's catalog only after his death got out on YouTube. Right. Prince was known for being very stingy with copyright.
Yeah, this was one of the songs that made my top 10 year-end number ones.
Yeah.
And, this was back when it was. This was back when I used DeviantArt and I could embed videos into my journals, and I think I used like 3 different versions of this song. All of them kept getting taken down.
Right. There was that craziness. But I knew people who were obsessed with 80s culture who had never heard a Prince song. They knew of him, they just hadn't heard him.
Yeah, I was kind of in that same boat. It wasn't until recently that I started to really appreciate him. And
right, I kind of got into that.
It's also a shame that none of his songs are on Guitar Hero because Prince was a great guitar player. This song specifically opens up with some serious chops.
Yeah, he gets a lot of credit for his production and lyricism, but his guitar work was great too.
Like he does a 2-minute guitar solo at the end of a live version of While My Guitar Gently Weeps.
Mm-hmm.
Like a full star-studded ensemble.
I saw that video.
Yeah, and he just goes crazy.
Yeah, he goes crazy, and it's not the last Prince solo we'll hear.
All right, but until then, let's move up the list with number 36.
This is one of my big ones. This is one I love.
Yeah, we've got 7 Nation Army by the White Stripes.
Yes, a song based on Amanda Green. Jack White thought that was what Salvation Army was when he was a kid.
That's what the name.
But yeah, I feel like this is the rock anthem of the 2000s. It's your teen spirit. It's your stairway. It's the one everyone kind of heard of. You hear it all the time at sports games, or at least soccer games. Don't know about other sports.
And it's also another easy one to learn on guitar. It's a fairly simple riff.
I learned it on guitar. The chorus gets a little crazier with its variations of notes, but the general riff is super easy.
Yeah, and I just love the production on the chorus. Like, it sounds raw yet clean at the same time. With the exception of Jack White's guitar solo, which is heavily distorted.
Yeah, it's sort of that type of thing, and it came from the early 2000s indie rock ethos. That sort of style. You couldn't not have this one on the list. It was just so in your face. It was something. Although curiously, White Stripes' only top 40 song was "Icky Thump."
Really?
Yeah. This one was a number 1 alternative hit, though. I think I called it the best alternative number 1.
I think I recall that too.
Yeah, the number 2, "Losing My Religion," didn't even crack the top 100, I think. Which I thought was kind of a weird disparity.
Oh well.
But yeah, this is kind of like that. It's one of the big ones I grew up with there. And it's just off there. And "Catch Me in the Right Mood," this could be my favorite song.
Yeah, this was, I think, it was either the second or third White Stripes song I'd ever heard. The first was "Fell in Love with a Girl" with the iconic Lego music video.
Yeah, naturally. But yeah, that's pretty. Number 35, we're kicking it old school again with "Tutti Frutti." It's one of the oldest songs that people really know about by Little Richard, another recently deceased guy.
Mm-hmm. Like this is one of those songs that just gets the whole joint jumping.
Yeah, it's still mashes. It's one of the big ones that shaped rock and roll because it was 1 year after Elvis's first session.
Yeah.
Yep.
1954.
55. By general, mid-50s is said to be the beginning of the rock era.
Yeah, and I can definitely see how this one shaped it.
Yep.
I mean, it's just one of those undeniable. It's undeniable. It's wildly infectious. How can you listen to this song and not start grooving to it right away?
Right, and Little Richard was thought of as a king alongside Elvis and Chuck Berry. The Beatles opened for him. That's how they started.
Wow.
But yeah, he was really big, and he had a big sense of humor. When he presented Best New Artist in '92, he was like, and the Grammy for Best Artist goes to me. Psych, you guys never gave me anything.
That's funny.
But yeah, he had a big sense of humor. He was pretty larger than life. He did die just this past year of natural causes, but he was still touring in his 80s, so props to that.
Yeah, that's persistence for you. All right, moving on to another 34. We've got more old school. We got Papa's Got a Brand New Bag by James Brown.
Yeah, to me, this one kind of peters out. I feel like this one's an overrate, but it's just me. I think Get On Up is his most iconic. That's the one I go for.
I always thought it was I Feel Good.
Oh, I Feel Good. That's another one that could go on there. But they called the movie Get On Up.
Oh, yeah.
Though I don't know how you can cram the life of James Brown into just one movie. He testified for a fan in court. He stood for civil rights in front of the police. He guested on The Simpsons. He was everywhere in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
Just shining personality.
Yeah. I think this one gets so much acclaim because it's considered like his breakthrough.
Yeah, probably. First installment wins sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
He did a set at the Apollo, but that was mostly covers.
Yeah. Yeah,
but
I think
again,
this is the shortest song in the top 50, just going over 2 minutes.
Right. But this one kind of doesn't gel with me as much as Get On Up, and on Acclaim Music in the polls, it underperforms regarding its top 100 rating. But still, James Brown, he got something.
Yeah.
Yep. And we're staying in the old school stuff with number 33 with a really good old jam, Johnny Be Good.
Yep, by Marty McFly.
No, Chuck Berry. Yeah, that's right. This one was in the top 10 before. Kind of sad to see it fall down so much because it holds up amazingly.
Right. I'd say this song more than any other single song shaped rock and roll going forward, because not only was it one of the first songs to really utilize the electric guitar the way that it does with one of the early great solos, but it's also like the first rock song about being a rock star.
Yep. Go Johnny go. And it brings down the whole house. There's a reason why they still used it 30 years later for Back to the Future, because it was that good. And it's fun to play. It's something. And also, it got the highest honor ever. It was blasted into space on the Voyager 1.
Now that's awesome.
The golden record alongside Mozart and Shostakovich. Some artists transcend time, but Chuck transcended our entire planet.
Nice. And this was going back to that Guitar World ranking, I was surprised this one didn't crack the top 10. I think it came in at number 12, which, still respectable, but considering the effect that it had on an entire genre, you would have expected it to at least crack the top 10, but it's whatever.
Right, and it's pretty interesting. Chuck was still made an album at 90. That's some dedication to the craft.
That's crazy.
Yep. I know Paul McCartney's still doing stuff, but Chuck was 90 and still playing guitar. Oh, that's real. At number 32, we have. Well, we're back to rap, but it's an older one, Juicy.
Yep.
Gave us Biggie's catchphrase.
Yes.
If you don't know, now you know.
Yeah, I think this is another. I think this is one of those other, like you were saying earlier, like the first song wins out, because I think this was his debut song.
Yeah, it was. He had this, and he was dead within 3 years.
R.I.P.
So it's kind of interesting how Biggie gets, I think, 2 songs, maybe, and Tupac only gets 1, and it's in the bottom 100.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad one of them made it this high, considering they were like the faces of gangster rap in the mid-90s.
Yeah, and even their deaths are intertwined.
Right.
My Uncle Kevin said Biggie was the last rapper he liked, so that's a high honor.
Yeah, I can see it. I'm not really into that genre myself, but hearing this on the playlist, I can bump to it.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. Again, has that super iconic catchphrase, and that really good one. His last album was, of course, called Life After Death, which proved very eerie. But Juicy is sort of like the one a lot of people know for. I don't know if it would be number 32, but still nice to see Biggie go pretty big up here this high.
Yeah. All right, going back, old school rock and roll, we've got number 31, I Can't Get No Satisfaction by the Rolling Stones.
A very easy riff that actually came to Keith Richards' dream.
Wow.
That's the story behind it. Yesterday by the Beatles, also in a dream.
Wow.
But yeah, Satisfaction, they talk about that. This was number 2 before. But it's kind of gone down. It's not even the highest Stones song anymore. I consider this a little overrated. But I think I've said this one before. It's a little bit off topic, but the one classic rock song I don't get, Sympathy for the Devil.
I used to love that song back when I was in my rock is better than everything phase.
Right.
Nowadays, I find it kind of a hard listen.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what makes it click, what makes it endure. It was in the top 100 before, but not now. But I'm like, this song?
Like
the
now,
second highest Stones song?
Like now, I kind of find that song annoying, especially when the woo-woos come in.
Yep, that's pretty funny. Yeah. But Satisfaction, I do get. It's like the first punk song, probably the first metal song. I can only imagine what hearing this in 1965 would have been like.
I think this was like the anthem for like the American counterculture movement.
Yep, because you're so used to pop being so clean.
Right. It was this and My Generation, which barely cracked the top half of this list.
Dang. And I think there's only 2 Who songs now, so that's pretty disappointing. But yeah, this one you're just so used to hearing some stuff going fun, some high stuff. Then you hear
Yeah, it's just a 3-note riff. Again, one string.
Yep. It's not my favorite Stones song. That's Painted Black, but this is pretty good too. At number 30, we have another typographical error. A song that's listed as 2011 when it was actually very late 2012 and peaked at number in 2013. Royals by Lorde.
Yep. I can see why this one is on here.
This was another one that was pretty countercultural. It was sort of like a slam at the other pop songs. It's also the first pop song that made me feel old.
Yep, and you were only, 18?
Yeah, I was 18, Lord 17, and yet she was the first person born after me to have a #1 hit in the U.S.
That's crazy. Crazy thinking
Yeah.
about. Yeah, this
Yeah.
song. This song really does feel like it changed the direction of pop music. Like, compare
Yeah.
the music in 2011 to the stuff that we got from 14 to 16.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of people trying to copy her, a lot of them failing.
Yeah, 11. And arguably, Lord even got better in the second album, but that wasn't as big a hit.
That's a shame. That's got some good ones.
Yeah, apparently Lord had some social anxiety things. She doesn't even use YouTube anymore.
Really?
That's yeah. She's like become a social media ghost because she got more famous than she could really handle. Her new stuff's okay, but we all know where it all began. Apparently, she wrote this song for a high school talent show,
Wow.
and and it really caught off in ways we
Like,
wouldn't have expected.
Yeah, I was just writing a little song, and I suddenly changed an entire culture. How about that?
Yep.
I wonder if
Yep.
the Kansas City Royals ever used this in their World Series
yeah.
runs.
Oh yeah, they have. Lord embraced it. She even jokingly suggested it's about meeting a member of the team. Though I think it was one of the 8-5 Royals she met.
Yeah, like it's secretly an anthem to George Brett.
Yep, that's right.
All right.
And then at number 29, we have "Nothing But a G Thing" by Snoop Dogg featuring Dr. Dre. I don't know about you, but I feel like this is one of the definitive hip hop songs. The ones where even if you don't know the genre, you know it.
Yeah, I didn't recognize this one by name, but once I heard it, I just heard 1, 2, 3, and to the 4. It's this one.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's endlessly quotable. It was like the Uptown Funk of its time in terms of how many memes it spawned.
Mm-hmm. like that G funk riff, just that high pitched piercing tone. I don't even know how to describe it. It just absolutely defined G funk in that era, and I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, and with Snoop Dogg, and considering this came out in '92, it really emphasized the feature. It wasn't really a thing before '92, but after, it certainly was.
Yeah. Wait, was this a Snoop Dogg song featuring Dre or a Dre song featuring Snoop Dogg?
No, it's Snoop Dogg featuring Dr. Dre. Snoop Dogg gets top billing.
Huh. Because wasn't this off of The Chronic?
I think so. I'd have to look into it. I think I could be wrong, but on my spreadsheet I have Snoop Dogg at the top. But I think you're right. The Chronic, which was also self-produced.
Yeah, that was the album that basically took gangster rap into the mainstream.
Yeah. Yeah, we had that with The Chronic. Dr. Dre, he's in the Hall of Fame with NWA, but a lot of people have claimed for him as a non-performer also, as a producer.
Yeah.
I'm looking up now. Yep, it's a Dre song.
I gotcha.
Kind of interesting.
Yeah, and this song peaked at number 2, which was a huge thing for 1992 in this genre.
Yep.
Trying to see what kept it from number 1. Informer.
Behind Informer by Snow. Wow.
Wow, indeed.
I never would have expected that.
I don't know whether to be impressed or embarrassed on their behalf.
Yeah. But anyway, I think that's good for number 29. Number 28, Once in a Lifetime by Talking Heads. This is another one I was surprised didn't make any of the prior lists.
Really?
This seems like an obvious one.
Yeah, this is definitely another one of those unorthodox songs, which is famous for its kind of nonsensical nature.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's pretty silly. When I went with my cousins and we made a mixtape of stuff to bring home, I put this one on there. Don't really know why, but I just went with it. Though a lot should be said of the producer, Brian Eno.
Oh.
Eno. His name is anagram of one because he's number one. He turned a pretty decent song into a banger.
Mm-hmm.
Just those old riffs, storing. And another one that you can quote and meme to death.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the song kind of goes all over the place in the verses.
Yeah.
It's one of those songs where it's like you start listening to it, it's like, why am I listening to this? And by the end of it, you're just like, letting the days go by.
As it ever was.
Yeah.
As it ever was. I always interpret it as being about a midlife crisis.
I can see that.
But with David Byrne, you never really know because he's so whacked out and weird. But I have not seen his new show. I'm going to, but Stop Making Sense. They do play this song. It's the best concert movie ever made. Check it out.
I'll have to do that.
Yeah.
But, and Russ, if you're listening to this, you'll really like our number 27, which is Born to Run by Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, it's a big one. It's got probably the best known sax solo, rivaled only by Us and Them by Pink Floyd. Those are like the two.
Yeah, this is one of those songs that really encapsulates like the free ride and rock star lifestyle.
Yeah. Also, New Jersey is the only state that has not had an official state song. One of the leading petitions was this one.
Really?
Yep.
What the heck?
But it would make
you get on that.
Yeah. What better way to have it as the state song? I mean, Oklahoma has Do You Realize? State rock song, but still.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this one's pretty big. The Born to Run album as a whole is pretty nice because it's assembling the E Street Band. Clarence Clemens, he's from around where I am, Columbia, Maryland.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Fortunately, he is now deceased. One of the glaring errors within Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was not inducting the E Street Band. I think they got in the year after he died.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, kind of sad because Clarence really goes all out with this one.
Mm-hmm. Didn't he also do the sax solo on a Lady Gaga song, Edge of Glory?
Edge of Glory, which is my favorite Lady Gaga song, by curiosity. But they went with Bad Romance instead, so whatever.
Yeah. I'm surprised that was the only one.
Yeah. Number 26, a bit of an odd one, but kind of understandable. They went with A Case of You by Joni Mitchell. We're doing a little context here for the albums list. Blue, from which this comes from, was number 3. Really? But in terms of Joni, you'd probably want to go for something like Both Sides Now or River or even Big Yellow Taxi.
Yeah, this one is definitely a departure from the production that we got from songs like Born to Run and Once in a Lifetime. It's just acoustic guitar and Mitchell with just beautiful vocals, let's just say.
Right. She really knew her stuff, and she was pretty introspective at capturing sort of the attitude of the 1970s. She was going into acoustic. I think she was also kind of a DIY person.
Yeah.
I describe DIY as where you produce your stuff, you write your stuff, you might even do all your own instrumentals.
Right. Although she did not do the instrumentals on this one. That was James Taylor.
Right, James Taylor. Well, but still, she did a lot of DIY stuff. I've kind of grown to kind of love John Darnielle of Mountain Goats because he just does everything by himself.
Right.
And that's kind of the ethos I wish to emulate. But stuff, people like Joni, they embody that too. They just get their production studio, their guitar, their lyrics, and go to town.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good. Number 25, one that kind of made me groan a little. Runaway by Kanye featuring Pusha T.
Wow. How did this make the top 25?
Yeah, well, you'd be surprised. A lot of people on Acclaim Music love this song. They consider it pretty great and pretty mulling, but I actually consider it the weakest link on the album.
Yeah?
It's not a bad one. It's kind of like the emotional centerfold piece, but come on, man. All of the lights, monster, power, gorgeous, lost in the world.
I wish Gorgeous made this list.
Yeah, it's pretty big. But Kanye just put out that big album. It's like the big album of the 2010s, at least before Kendrick. But he had this big power, and they kind of went with, again, a lot of people disagree, but they went with this song instead.
Yeah, I think this is actually my younger brother's favorite song, period.
Well, must be easy to play on the piano. It's just 4 simple chord bars.
Yep. I mean, this probably has the most iconic single note since the Black Parade.
Yep. And did you watch the music video when it came out? The full 45-minute thing?
No, I did not.
It's called Runaway, but you could hear the whole album except for Monster and the second track before the album even came out. So that's kind of fun leaking. It's a weird conceptual video. It's kind of in your face and symbolic and stuff, but it was still kind of a watch. And Runaway is again the centerpiece with the ballet dancers.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of just a mad genius record, but again, not the song I would have picked to stand for Kanye, especially this high.
Yeah, I can feel that. All right. Number 24. We have a song that I expected to place a lot higher, and if not higher, then at least higher than pretty much all of their other discography. We have A Day in the Life by the Beatles.
Yeah, if Hey Jude is considered the most popular Beatles song, A Day in the Life is sort of like the critics' pick for the best Beatles song, because it's just orchestrated so nicely. It tells this abstract but kind of get into its story. And you know what my favorite moment in all of the Beatles is? The towards at the end of Paul's part.
Oh yeah, that sounds great. It's a great transition back into Lennon's verse.
Yeah, that just takes me places. Mm-hmm. Although I did hear something funny. Apparently, if you run Paul's line through every language on Google Translate into English, you get the Friday song.
I still love the fact that the most played music quiz on that site is determining whether a line belongs to Friday or A Day in the Life.
I've played that quiz.
Yeah, so have I.
But it's based on that sort of urban legend. But it just goes to show also how Paul can take something as simple as getting out of bed and make it sound like the most epic thing ever.
Yep.
And I feel like most of the acclaim for Sgt. Pepper goes to this track.
That sounds about right. I also just love those iconic orchestral builds after John's parts.
Yeah, and even Ringo has some of his best drumming here.
Yeah, kind of goes underappreciated, but he's really going off on this.
Yeah, Ringo is what we call a session drummer. He would do good backbeats and good rhythmic bits, though he only ever got 2 solos, Birthday and The End.
Yep.
But he did his part.
Go ahead.
Well, he did his part, though. He really came through. What were you going to say?
So back when I was in high school orchestra, just as like a diversion from our usual pieces, our director gave us music that looked like the score for A Day in the Life, specifically the part where it all swells up and just how that would have looked in actual sheet music.
Right.
It's like start here, end here, and play something, anything that kind of follows this ascending pattern.
I wonder if George Martin said the exact same thing.
I'm pretty sure that's how it was. It's a whole cacophony that ends in a single moment of clarity.
Yeah, and then it loops never could see any other way until the end of time. At least on the vinyl.
Right. Like I think that was also I think that's also how the THX logo would have been tabulated as well.
Yep. Pretty close. But the hidden track towards the end of that was put back on the CD, but the vinyl would loop indefinitely.
Okay.
Yeah. They do a little trick. 23, we have a pretty good one. Heroes by David Bowie.
I'm surprised it wasn't Space Oddity, to be honest.
To be honest, I consider it to be sort of a toss-up between Space Oddity and Heroes. I think Bowie's signature in his native Britain is this one. It's coverable, as was shown with the Wallflowers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But it's pretty coverable, easy to remember, that sort of thing. But again, this one has another long version that's really good. I think the single cut's under 5. The album version's almost double that.
Wow.
But yeah, Heroes is the one that kind of gets done. It gets played a little bit. It's not a total unknown. Space Oddity, I think, did make the top 100, though. Let's see. Pretty interesting.
189.
What? I would have expected it to be 100 spots higher.
I don't know. I mean,
yeah, but that's the one that sort of broke him through. But Heroes is one of the big ones that was big in the UK. He had 2 number 1 hits in America, Fame and Let's Dance.
Neither of which made the list.
Right.
Wouldn't have really expected them
But
to either.
Right, yeah, those aren't really well known. Yeah. And then at number 22.
More old school.
Yeah.
We've got
Be My Baby
by the Ronettes.
It's sort of embodied.
One of the earliest demonstrations of the wall of sound.
Yeah, that's sort of the echoing I was getting into. Yeah, too bad Phil Spector had to be such a buzz bucket.
That's putting it lightly, but yeah.
Yeah, but still the song, the capturing the girl group aspect, they're inducted into the Hall of Fame. And they're, well, not Percy Sledge. It's kind of another case of that one song gets in sort of thing.
I see.
But, yeah, well, a lot of credit does go to the producer, and it is here. We have Ronnie Spector. She's got a good voice, and she was featured on Take Me Home Tonight.
Really?
You know that? It wasn't a sample either. They actually got her back to sing this in the chorus.
That's cool.
Right. Yes. And then keeping it old school, number 21, the oldest song on here, Strange Fruit.
Yeah, Billie Holiday, way back in 1939.
39. It's really old. It's been played for that. We covered it in 7th grade during our civil rights unit.
Yeah, I think this was the song that like lit the spark that would evolve into the civil rights movement.
Yep.
It was so haunting, so raw a depiction of what went on down in the South at that time. And even her live performances were deliberately done so that you couldn't possibly ignore them.
Yeah, she had a very colorful look, let's put it that way. Something about the heroine, but having it then, hearing it performed, she didn't do Lincoln Memorial like I thought she did. I think that was Ella, but but she was really going all out, and a lot of it again is the performance. To have this be the oldest song on here kind of shows just how it endures. Although Somewhere Over the Rainbow came out the same year, so maybe that could have tried to go for it here.
Maybe.
If you were going that old school, you could have included Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Yeah, I think it's good they did this one, though.
Yep. And now for number 20.
Dancing on My Own by Robin. The song of the 2010s.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting hearing that. It's one of the rare songs about a girl being friend-zoned.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
Right, but it's kind of about... This one does rank pretty high on the Acclaim music side. I think we went with Midnight City for our pick of the decade, though. But this was still top 10. Yeah. Midnight City didn't even qualify. I was kind of let down with that one.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I'm surprised that this song wasn't a bigger hit in the States. It's like one of those it's like one of those songs that, really caught on after the fact and just resonates with an entire generation.
Yeah, though I would probably say this is like the song that defined sort of the sound of a lot of the 2010s. That synthy throwback, but not really. That kind of new dreamy style, and having the girl in the lead, that sort of thing was emblematic of what went on in the 2010s, and this was sort of the trendsetter to set the mood.
Right.
Yep. And Robin is also Swedish. She did have a hit here back in '97, but not a lot of people talk about that one as opposed to Dancing on My Own. Right. And then I'll take number 19 around here. Number 19 is Imagine by John Lennon. Oh, you must not be a fan, I take it.
Not really, no.
Yeah. In the prior lists, it was at number 3, trumping every Beatles song. There's 2 more coming up for this one. I mean, I kind of has that sort of sentiment, that sort of nice la-di-da. But if you know John Lennon in real life, you know he's a massive hypocrite.
Yep.
So what's your beef?
It's just hard to separate this song from that god-awful Celebrity cover from 2020.
Don't get me started.
It just highlights the whole deal of someone, like the most famous person in the world who has all the money he could want, talking about a world with no possessions. Like, he can imagine it because he doesn't have to live it. It's an easy song for him.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. I will say, though, I did like the Perfect Circle cover where they try to frame it like a dictator taking over.
Like, I could maybe enjoy the song from that context, but
yeah. So a Perfect Circle's cover for the ironic side of it.
Yeah. Like,
again,
I don't think I hate this song as much as I hated the Celebrity cover, which was so out of touch.
You hate what it's become, kind of.
Right. Like, it's not like Don't Worry, Be Happy, where I hate it on principle.
Right. Oh, we'll get to something like that. There's a song that outright calls out "Don't Worry, Be Happy" coming up, but we'll get to that. Yeah. But Imagine, not one of my favorites, but I kind of see why it's on here, and at least now it's more fair that it doesn't trump every Beatles song.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, number 18.
All right, number 18, we got Purple Rain by Prince.
The other killer guitar solo from Prince.
Yeah.
I mean, it just melts your face at the very end.
This is one of those songs where I couldn't get into it in the past, but then I kind of reevaluated it after Prince died. And I still couldn't get fully into it, but once I listened to it after putting some distance behind me, holy God, this is immaculate.
Yeah, it's pretty great. And what's funny is it's the theme song to a critically panned movie.
Yep.
A lot of people even forget Purple Rain is a movie soundtrack because the song is just that good.
I actually first heard this song watching the movie.
Wow.
I mean, my dad had it on when I was like 14, so it wasn't really my thing, but I did see the part where he performed this song.
I kind of had that happen with Dad playing the Tom Petty movie, Running Down a Dream.
I like that song.
That was... Yeah, I was with that. That's kind of my experience. But yeah, Purple Rain kind of... At number 17, we have a surprise that I welcomed, something that I was anticipating. The Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen finally enters the top 20 after being in the 160s for both prior editions.
Really?
Yeah, but now it's in the top 20 where it belongs.
Yeah, I'd say this is a good spot for it.
Yeah. Yeah,
this is another one of those like go-to favorite songs for the people who only listen to rock, except you expand that to everyone.
Yep. I called it's simultaneously everyone's favorite song and no one's favorite song. Yeah. Because not too many people would put it as their personal number one, but when it turns on the radio, you're like, I see a little silhouette of a man.
Scaramouche, will you do the fun thing? Every once in a while, I'll be browsing Reddit, and one of the comments in reply to another one just says, "Is this the real life?" Someone else comments, "Is this just fantasy?" And then it just goes through the whole song.
Yeah, I've been on both sides of that. Rolling Stones had a bias against Queen from the beginning. They kind of just don't go for their stuff. They panned this album, Night at the Opera, when it came out. But I feel like either they were forced to do it because of Queen's renaissance popularity, or they're just starting to have a change of heart. So considering they only have one other song, maybe it's the forcing into it.
Maybe. But yeah, 17 feels like a good spot. Because you can't have it as your number one. That just feels a little too obvious. But you can't have it too much lower because then people will think you're crazy. Because you can't have it in your top 20.
Yeah, like I said, both times they've had it at 160 something. But I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right, so let's take a look at the first song that Rolling Stone apparently thinks is better than Bohemian Rhapsody. Number 16, Crazy in Love by Beyonce.
This isn't too unprecedented, actually. This isn't too out of left field. VH1 called it their best of the 2000s. You hear the horn section everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty great. And Jay-Z's all over the place with the features. Umbrella made this list too, much further down, of course.
Right.
But again, putting it at number 16 means you think it's better than Bohemian Rhapsody, Satisfaction, When Doves Cry, that sort of thing.
Bold take, but an interesting one.
But yeah, 2003 was an underrated year for pop because we had a lot of the big stuff like this, Seven Nation Army, You Gonna Be My Girl, a lot of stuff. And one other song we'll get to later.
Yeah.
Not spoiling it. I'm saving that one. But Crazy in Love. Yeah, but Crazy in Love, that's pretty good, pretty respectable pick. And Beyonce's having this big career renaissance of her own. So yeah, having here, I think this was her first solo hit after Destiny's Child.
I think so, and I think this was released right at the beginning of her relationship with Jay-Z, which put the two of them.
The feature.
So that put the two of them as, can't have one without the other.
Right, the big breakthrough, the big one. I think it was a number one, and it was,
so too.
And it's pretty emblematic of a lot of the things, and another one that defines the sound of the decade. Number 50, we have an old Beatles song, their big breakthrough, I Want to Hold Your Hand.
Yes, kind of strange to see this above the avant-garde Day in the Life, but I think it's good. I think it's good that the top 25 gets kind of both sides, both their teen idol phase and their experimental phase.
Yeah, though I think A Hard Day's Night is my favorite early Beatles, but if you want to go for higher, go for their breakthrough, because they were like, a British band will never have staying power. A British band could never do it. We saw what happened with Herman's Hermits and Dave Clark 5, but then I Want to Hold Your Hand came out, and Revolution.
Yep, not the song Revolution, but Beatlemania.
No, not that. That was 1968, yeah. But this one came out, and a British invasion. Every other British band had some other things going.
Yep, and including the very next entry.
Yes, the very next entry. But I Want to Hold Your Hand, kind of not as high as I would get for it. I mean, I respect it a little. Although, you know the funny story, My Love I Can't Hide was misheard by Bob Dylan as My Love I Get High.
Ha ha ha.
And apparently that's what got them on the drugs.
I love to hear it.
Yep, and then after that, your turn.
All right, number 14, a song and band that probably wouldn't have been as big in America if not for Beatlemania. We've got the Kinks with Waterloo Sunset.
Yeah, Waterloo Sunset, it's probably the most British song ever made. Because it's all about the Waterloo Bridge, talking about London in that scene. Mm-hmm. I think there was once a tour with the Kinks, the Black Crowes, and Oasis. You know what the common thread is?
Yeah.
Feuding brothers. That's probably why the Kinks aren't as well remembered as the rest of the British invasion, because Ray and Dave were at each other's throats the whole time.
Right. But they've certainly had their moments. I think they have 3 songs on this list.
Yeah, You Really Got Me and Lola, also bangers.
Mm-hmm. Like you really got me, especially is another one of those like early hard guitar solos, which would later be co-opted by Van Halen.
Yep, and Waterloo Sunset. That's sort of like one of the early Britpop songs. You'd hear it in Oasis and Blur with that thick accent. Yeah, I knew a friend who was a fan of Liverpool. He's heard You'll Never Walk Alone, but he can't understand a word they say.
That's obvious. That's awesome.
Yeah, but still pretty nice. And again, most British song ever made. Number 13, we're sticking British, but a little later in different ethos.
Yeah.
Gimme Shelter.
This is the highest ranking Rolling Stones song on the list.
Yeah.
And
on the 2012 edition of the Acclaim Music Poll, it was number 1. Not just the number 1 Stone song, it got to number 1 despite not receiving any first place votes.
That's fascinating.
It was just the formula worked out that way.
Wow, like a bunch of like second and third places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But still, it's kind of interesting. I think I cited this in my paper. That's the Vietnam era song.
Right.
It's just a shot away.
Like a Vietnam, like kind of Cold War paranoia. Like one slip up and we're in Armageddon.
Yep. It embodied just everything they were feeling. I forget who the girl voice is though. I think her first name was Sandy.
Yeah.
Sandy something. Right. But a few months after the song came out, she miscarried.
Ooh. That sucks.
So yeah, really, really sad story, but she nails it here. I heard Fergie do a version with that. Really? She nailed it. It was I was impressed.
Wow.
Like Fergie, really.
Like that voice crack on the third Murder is the stuff of legend. I think you can actually hear Jagger in the background reacting to it.
Oh yeah, it's one of those little sudden little studio goofs that caught on because it worked.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just I think I bought Call of Duty Black Ops just because they used this song in their trailer.
That's effective marketing. Honestly, I think this
I was
might be
a-
my favorite Stones song.
Yeah, it's up there with me too, alongside Paint It Black, which is the greatest sitar song ever.
Hmm.
But we'll see that. Number
All right.
13 we have
That
with
was number
us.
13.
Oh, at number 13. Number 12 is Superstition. One
How
of the
can you not
easiest
love
riffs
this song?
Yeah, it's one of the easiest riffs ever. Do 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 do. You know it. You know it.
Hmm.
What's funny is apparently Jeff Beck got his version out first,
Oh, yeah?
even though it was written by Stevie. Jeff did perform it, and Jeff Beck kind of scooped him. Though he does still obviously play guitar on this one.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then the guy who wrote Maniac, he's on the keyboard.
Yeah. Yeah, he did session work up all through the 70s for Stevie.
Yeah. Yeah, Stevie had a backing band, but they didn't really get as much credit as the Revolution. That was a dream team, too.
Hmm.
I remember his 20th anniversary Hall of Fame performance. He brought all the stars on with him.
Yeah.
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 That's a pretty easy riff. It ties in, I hear, with Superstition, gets you really thinking about that Superstition. And it is just the funkiest you ever got.
Like I said, how can you not love this song? This is quintessential Stevie.
Yeah, it's quintessential Stevie. He really brought out all the stops here. Apparently, Stevie Wonder is the reason why Martin Luther King Jr. Day is a federal holiday.
Oh, word?
He was briefly mayor of Detroit, so...
Huh. How about that?
Or I think at least he ran, but it was through his lobbying that he got Martin Luther King Day.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was pretty involved through the 70s. This is part of his second phase. Like, Stevie had 3 phases: his Little Stevie phase, his Motown phase, and his 80s phase.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, if you're gonna peak 3 times.
Exactly.
Right. And then at number 11?
All right, number 11, we have the reason why I'm not so surprised that Good Vibrations didn't crack the top 50, because it's the other beloved Beach Boys song from that era, God Only Knows.
Yeah, it's just such a good one. It's simple ditty, but the production value is pretty nice, and it's singable. And it's another one that just puts me in a good mood every time.
Right. I think this song's success is what allowed Good Vibrations to be the smash that it was, because Good Vibrations did not appear on Pet Sounds.
Right, it came out the year after.
Right. But it utilizes a lot of the same production techniques.
Right, and you had the whole Smile fiasco that came right after.
Mm-hmm.
But God Only Knows that shows like the Beach Boys weren't just surf music; they were psychedelic, they were transcendent. And did you watch the 2014 BBC Music campaign?
No, I did not.
That had a whole bunch of stars singing this song. They had Lorde, Dave Grohl, Florence from Florence and the Machine, One Direction, Sam Smith.
Wow.
It had a lot, and Brian Wilson himself.
Wow.
But yeah, it was sort of like their version of Save the Music.
Mm-hmm.
But they did a promotion with this song, and it's up there. It's a pretty good version of it.
I think Paul McCartney said that this is his favorite song.
I can see that, because it was 1966, right at the peak for both of them.
Right.
That was a pretty great year. I mean, you had Pet Sounds, you had Revolver, you had Highway 61. Just a really baller year.
Mm-hmm.
And then here we have number 10, the big one, the most recent song to make all 3 versions of the list, and probably the defining song of the generation. Hey, yo!
Oh my God. You know, when I went through the top 50 bottom to top, so when I saw B.O.B., I was like, did this really rank higher than Hey Ya? And then I got to number 10, it's like, no, it didn't.
Hey, yeah, man, the song of it. I would probably say, in terms of critical acclaim, this is the new kid. This is the one. I mean, like, when this hit number one, we all knew it was something special.
Mm-hmm.
So including it for recency, it was less than a year old when it made the original list in '04.
Really?
So it kind of goes to show how sometimes you can have an instant classic.
Yeah, I mean, everyone points to this song as like the go-to example for upbeat songs with depressing lyrics.
Yeah,
but I think
this and Pumped Up Kicks.
Yeah, but I don't think it gets enough credit for the composition because it's based around a very simple 4-chord progression.
Yeah, G, D, C, E, those are beginner chords.
Exactly. In a bit of an odd time, it's not 11/4 as I've seen people say it because the emphasis is on all the wrong places for that.
Yeah, it's like they did like a Leonard Bernstein where they trick you into thinking it's 11/4.
Right. Now they just throw in random 2-bar in the middle of the sequence.
Yep.
But that progression permeates through the entire song with no modulation except for the end of verse 2 where all the instrumentation cuts out.
But although I will say my disappointment with this is future generations will not know what "shake it like a Polaroid picture" means.
Yeah, that sort of dates it, but that's the only flaw, if you can even call it that.
It was already kind of dated in 2003, so it's just kind of fun.
Yeah, but what I was getting at is that despite having that constant backing, it's not a repetitive song because the verses don't sound like each other. The second chorus adds an entirely new vocal layer, and the breakdown toward the end could just be its own separate thing.
Yeah, and you ever see the music video, the VMA winning music video?
I've seen that one.
Yeah, it's so funny because they get it so on point. It's like they're parodying the Beatles on Ed Sullivan, and it just rocks.
Yeah,
There's another song in the top 5 that I would compare this to avoid spoilers, but I'd say "Hey Ya" is sort of like this generation's version of that song, the one we're getting to.
Okay.
And then number 9, "Dreams." We all know why this one's on here.
Yeah. Because I think this is the highest ranking song that didn't make either version prior.
Yeah, that's a surprise to me because this was a number 1 hit.
Right, but it had the rest of Rumors to compete with. So
yeah, and it's already in the top 500 on Acclaim Music. I find it very ironic also how Lindsey Buckingham has to sing the backup for this one for his ex.
Yeah.
He's like, "I'm dumping you and I'm doing you through song. You want to sing this part?"
Yeah, you know what I was saying about Imagine and how events of the pandemic kind of soured people's opinion of it? Well, This song had the exact opposite effect because Dreams kind of was overlooked in favor of songs like Go Your Own Way or Rhiannon. And then that TikTok came out and it just changed everything.
Yeah, you normally hate TikTok, but they were good for something for once.
Right. I mean, as BuzzFeed would put it, that guy won the internet for 2020.
Yeah, Fleetwood Mac made, of course, Rolling Stones EOY 2020 because of this song, but I'm like, that's like calling Never Gonna Give You Up one of the best songs of 2008. You're doing it for the meme. Don't kid yourself.
Right. I mean, this song actually recharted in the top 20 at the end of 2020.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
A song that's over 40 years old, managing to get a comeback like that after having already been number 1.
Right. And without having any of the members die.
Right. Well, Peter Green, but he wasn't on Rumors.
Right. Like, Stevie Nicks still got to be alive and see that happen.
Yeah.
That's just something special.
Right. And everyone always notices the irony of Lindsey Buckingham, who's a guy, dating Stevie Nicks, who's a girl.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, they had that.
All right, let's move on to number 8. I think you've got a bit of a bugbear with this one.
Yep.
Get Your Freak On by Missy Elliott. Highest ranking song in the 2000s.
Yeah, it's pretty cringe, and I'm like, you had Hey Ya right there. I really hate to do this because Missy and Timbaland are from my home state. And I think it's really kind of more of a Timbaland groove beat to it. Missy's got better songs. The two she has on here aside, I like that. But for whatever reason, this one just kind of annoys me. I could barely stand more than 30 seconds of it. It's just loudness and the same droning sitar.
Yeah, I don't hate this song, but you know how I was saying that the top 50 seems to go as much for influence as it does for actual quality? For the life of me, I cannot understand how that applies to this song. I mean, I'm sure it was influential in certain circles, but
it got Timbaland. Again, it's mostly because of the producer,
right,
Timbaland.
But to be number 8?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, although funny story, Safara by Bad Bunny further down the list samples this one.
No kidding.
So it's kind of weird. They do that a lot in this list. Even Missy herself samples I Can't Stand the Rain. And both songs made it here. I found that kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're wasting a spot like that, but just something I noticed. But I'm like, this one, number 8, come on. I'm not really sure about it. Missy's kind of gotten back in the public eye after that halftime show about 10 years ago, but still kind of questionable.
Like, to be higher than Hey Ya, that's a little suspect.
Right. My home state of Virginia has Dave Grohl, though. You could try plugging him more.
True.
Yeah. But number 7, the highest Beatles song, Strawberry Fields Forever. This one I thought was weird, not necessarily for its inclusion, but because of it being the highest Beatles song.
Yeah, that kind of threw me for a loop too. Like,
it only peaked at number 8 in America. It's not as well talked about as Hey Jude or Day in the Life.
Right. Like, I would have just if I were to pick any Beatles song that would be the highest for them, I would think it would be either of the two that we already talked about.
Yeah. Yeah, either one. That could have worked. But I mean, seriously, I don't really know about... But there's a funny story about Strawberry Fields is that it's in 2 takes. The second chorus, Let Me Take You Down, but then the going to, they splice in another take.
Right.
Like that, like the bass drop you hear... That's an overlay. A lot of people say it sounds seamless, but I'm like, no, dude, that's because the drugs are kicking in.
I mean, this is like the song to get high on.
Yep.
Which
and it
wouldn't fully recommend.
Right. The real Strawberry Fields kind of got torn down a while ago, but not the one in Central Park, the one in Britain.
Okay, the one for whom the song was named.
Yep, that goes with. Although, funny story, the only Beatles song that's the only number 1 Beatles song that's the title of an actual place, Penny Lane.
Really?
They tried to rename it because Penny was a slaver, but more people associate with the song than anything, so they kept it.
How about that?
Right. And then number 6.
All right, number 6, we've got What's Going On by Marvin Gaye.
Yeah, this is pretty nice. This is pretty chill. Marvin Gaye won the albums list.
Really?
Yeah. With What's Going On, from which this comes. Marvin, he's from D.C., so another hometown rep. But it's pretty interesting that he made a concept album for Motown, which hadn't really caught on with the concept stage yet. He borrowed ideas from the Beatles and Pink Floyd to make What's Going On, which was sort of all about crises and all the stuff that was going on in the 70s.
Right.
This is not to be used with the Four Non-Blondes song, which actually changed its title to avoid confusion with this.
Yeah.
But
this is like a pretty basic like anti-war pro-peace anthem.
Yeah. Yep, it's pretty nice, pretty chill. The one that I'm associated with. And I was pretty glad in Captain America 2 how Falcon made this one of the big music recommendations.
Yeah.
So Captain America could get caught up after 95 years in ice. Yeah, he said, so what's going on? Read that. It's pretty good, but I didn't rank it so high on my own because it's not something I go out of my way to listen to.
Yeah, Gaze had quite a few iconic songs. Let's Get It On.
Yep.
Heard It Through the Grapevine.
Sexual Healing. I think all of those made the list down ballot.
Yeah, but like I've often seen this song like toward the top of greatest of all time lists from different sources.
It was number 4 last time, so yeah, kind of good and sick that.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go, number 5, the song, the one that everyone talks about, Smells Like Teen Spirit, which isn't even my favorite Nirvana song.
If you want the definition of overplayed, well, first of all, it would be More Than a Feeling, but this would be a close second.
Yeah, I don't hate this song so much anymore. I kind of got into it with Tori Amos's cover, believe it or not.
She covered that?
That one kind of helped me. Yeah.
Huh.
It kind of helped me appreciate it a little bit more. But Nirvana has better songs. You Know You're Right, Heart-Shaped Box, Come As You Are, which they wanted to be the big hit. Right. Yeah. But I sort of said, Hey Ya is the new Teen Spirit in terms of how fast it caught on.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I kind of feel like this was sort of like the antithesis to hair metal, the one that got started, the ball rolling and going for the 90s. But I'm like, Alice in Chains technically started the year earlier, but they didn't have a hit. So, yeah.
What are you going to do?
Right. But even as the new kid on the block, the sort of trendy new class pick, the song's over 30.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's 30 years now. So it's starting to show its age.
Yeah, this is one of those songs, re-listening to it, I can see why I loved it back when I first discovered it, because I've been avoiding it so long just because of overplay, but it's not a bad song. But
it's funny, because I actually think I heard Lithium more often than this one.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, DC 101 used to play Lithium pretty frequently.
Yeah, I think the Loop did that a lot in Chicago too.
Right. But so yeah, Teen Spirit, I kind of see why it's up top, but you kind of gotta start distancing yourself a little because it's been a while.
True.
Number 4, we have the 2-time defending champion and the inspiration for this magazine, Like a Rolling Stone.
Mm-hmm. Dylan's transition into electric.
Yeah, people freaked when they heard it. They legit freaked. They said he sold out.
Yeah. And
yeah, I remember this was kind of crazy, and my parents couldn't get past Bob's vocals. My mentor for that school paper said, look, you're doing Vietnam. You're going to listen to Dylan. You're going to have to hear Dylan. So I'm not discouraging you, but try some Pete Seeger to balance it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not even sure what else we can say about it, because it is one of those songs that's like the one always on top.
Yeah, it's one everyone knows. I think for Acclaim Music, it's still number 1 overall, though that may change with the list because Teen Spirit keeps moving up. But overall, this is it. If you can get past Bob Dylan's mumble mouth, you can kind of tell the story of someone, a social outcast, cast on their own. That's pretty nice. I like Green Day's cover, though. That's pretty fun.
I'll have to check that out.
It's a bonus track on 21st Century Breakdown, and they add a sense of irony to it. They make it seem more sneering, more sarcastic.
Yeah. This was the closest Dylan ever got to a number one hit.
It was number 2.
Yep. Kept off by a guy who was clearly ripping off Dylan.
Yes, Eve of Destruction. But that's a pretty funny story. All right, I think it's your turn now.
All right, coming at number 3, we've got A Change Is Gonna Come by Sam Cooke.
Yeah, this is sort of like the all right of the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
It was the one that moved the protest movement. It's another one I don't really go out of my way to listen to, but Sam is pretty awesome.
Yeah, he's got a great voice, and
yeah. They recently made a documentary about his untimely death. That seems to be a running theme with rock stars. You live fast, die young, that sort of thing.
Yep, I mean,
but
just
Sam
on this top 50, we had Hendrix, we had Otis Redding, Marvin Gaye, B.I.G.
Yeah. Yep. Those were the ones who died fast. But Sam had a pretty interesting case, but I'm not going to get into it. But Sam moved from gospel to R&B. That was a pretty interesting move. Much like Bob Dylan, he met some blowback. But it paid off with this song in particular. It was like, we're holding out. A change gonna come. Some say we're still waiting for that change. So that's why it's number 3.
Yep.
And Kendrick Lamar would have probably agreed and said everything's going to be all right.
Yep.
At number 2,
we
have the greatest hip-hop song ever, and the one that for which Do the Right Thing is the unofficial music video, Fight the Power.
Yeah. Like, whereas A Change Is Gonna Come takes a very hopeful approach, Fight the Power is very confrontational.
Right. It's going to be funny because Gurren Lagann, the show we might cover next for the cartoon chat box, they have a similar titled song.
Really?
So you're gonna be really into that. And Public Enemy, of course, called out "Don't worry, be happy."
Thank you.
Yeah, they basically screwed over Bobby McFerrin and Elvis in the same song.
Yeah. Like, I think I read it's not so much like disdain toward Elvis, but more the fact that, you know, rock and roll as an art form like came from the black community, and the fact that Elvis was the face of it by kind of co-opting that, like, they felt was an injustice.
Right, yeah, that was pretty funny. And it's got such great lines. It's so quotable. You got Flava Flav and Chuck D spitting venom. And this was another one that they kind of underrated in the past. It was in the 300s before.
Man.
Yeah, I was expecting top 100 at least. Don't know if it's number 2, but as the highest hip-hop song, I kind of get it.
Yeah, I can buy that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty nice, and it's also very quotable. If you see Do the Right Thing, they play it no less than 15 times.
Yeah, the Do the Right Thing was actually my introduction to this song. We had to watch it for a film class once.
Same. That's pretty cool. We had to watch that too. And yeah, Fight the Power, you hear it a lot. What's funny is they rated Bring the Noise over it the last 2 times, when that's a little bit more obscure and best known for the Anthrax version.
Really?
Yeah, alongside Aerosmith had Run DMC, Anthrax had Public Enemy.
Wow.
Right. And what is number 1?
RESPECT. Find out what it means to me.
Yeah, pretty good. Nice doing it. But although some part of me kind of rubs me the wrong way because this means the number 1 song is a cover.
Yeah, it's didn't Otis Redding write this?
Yeah, he did. It was framed a little differently about the man getting respect from his wife. It was framed a little differently, but didn't really catch on until Aretha. And this is another one that kind of goes with the recent death effect.
True. And also the fact that they're making a biopic about Aretha.
Yeah, they did. And they went with that. Probably some easy promotion. I think it's because they let a guy win the albums list. They wanted to give a woman the songs.
I
But
mean,
actually, kind of a.
if that was the mentality, like on the one hand, yikes, but on the other hand, I can't really think of a better choice.
Yeah, Aretha was the first woman inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. She has this big operatic voice that totally sells it. Spelling never rocked so hard.
Like even Gwen Stefani understood that.
Yep. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. And we're giving her the R-E-S-P-C-T. So yeah, pretty good overall choice. It's not a personal number one, but in terms of the picture and the broader scope, and like you keep saying, influence, this is a good choice. This is a pretty good, safe pick.
Right. Like, I kind of saw this coming the more choices I saw that weren't this one. Like, obviously, they're saving it for one of the top spots. And when I saw it at number one, yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, and it's a song everyone knows, so even if it's not your personal, it's not really something you'd object to.
Right. So,
but yeah, overall decent presentation. Surprises, again, kind of getting lost between generations by appealing to the old and the new together. But I had a whole lot of fun evaluating this.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun going through these, just talking about really a wide variety of songs.
Yeah, it has a little bit of everything. Though Gasolina at number 50 is still kind of the anomaly.
Yeah, that's kind of a weird one, but at the same time, I think it's a good representation of just the very diverse and unique nature of this list.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to get. So it's great, and I'm glad that we were able to talk about it together.
Yep, and in relatively timely fashion, too.
Right, strike while the iron's hot.
Well, thanks y'all for listening. We'll see you next time for the next Cartoon Chatterbox. I'm IrishHuskie.
And I'm Wesley Hunt, Dr. W.
And we'll see you later. Take care.
Bye.